Hi, my name is David Musselman. I'm a divorce mediator with Common Ground Mediation. If you're watching this video right now, it's because either you placed a phone call to our office inquiring about divorce mediation and we invited you to come in for a free consultation, or you're the spouse of that person and you received an email or a text or a phone call asking you to please attend the free consultation, which we call an orientation. For the individual that was told by their spouse to come to this orientation meeting, it's been our experience that for them, there's a little bit more anxiety because they weren't the individual that spoke with myself or one of the other mediators on the phone. Sometimes they feel like they're coming to the consultation at a disadvantage, and I want to assure you that the mediator is an impartial third party that is there to work for both of you. Your spouse may have tried to talk at length to me about their case, at which time I told them that I preferred to not learn anything about their case until you actually were there together, so that I could protect the perception of impartiality. I want to recognize that you may have that anxiety, but I also want to assure you that you don't need to worry about that. I myself have done divorces for over 23 years, over 15,000 cases. I have a 96% success rate, and I want you to be comfortable knowing that this is going to be a professional environment and an environment where you can trust that the individual that's helping you is going to ensure that I do everything I can to promote an environment that's conducive for both of you to feel comfortable and feel safe emotionally, of course physically, so that you can get the mediation results that you're hoping for. The purpose of this video is to inform both of you prior to coming to that free consultation of what to expect when you come to that half-hour meeting, what we are going to try to accomplish in that meeting, what we absolutely won't try to accomplish in that meeting, so that both of you have a comfort level of what's going to happen and hopefully alleviate any anxiety or stress that you might have. First, I'd like to tell you a little bit about what a mediator is, what mediation is, and what you can expect when you get to our office in terms of your conversation with the mediator. In the state of Utah, you are required by law to use the process of mediation to get through your divorce, or at least attempt to use the process of mediation to get through your divorce before you can engage the court system in any way. That's a good law. When you choose to do the mediation has a significant impact on the success of whether or not your mediation will be successful or not. A mediator is a person who is trained or has experience in family law. Some are attorneys, some are not. It's not required that you be an attorney, but it is helpful if you have a working knowledge of the Utah or the state that you live in, codes and statutes, so that the mediator can educate the couple as to the different laws and statutes that pertain to divorce. It's important to note that the mediator will not be advising the parties or be an advocate for either party. The mediator is trained in conflict resolution and should have extensive experience in problem solving. Myself, I have a degree in communication, which I believe gives me a significant advantage and being able to help couples not only get to an agreement, but giving them the effective communication tools to be able to keep that agreement. When you come to the orientation, you'll come into our lobby and sit in the lobby and wait for somebody to come get you. It's important for me to inform you both that if either of you feel that you are not physically safe in a situation with your spouse, especially if there's a protective order in place, or if there's been some domestic violence or the threats of domestic violence, please let the mediator know by calling our office in advance. If there is a protective order in place, the mediator can still meet with both of you without either of you violating the protective order. That's a provision allowed by the Utah state statutes for divorce mediation, but it will be important for the mediator to know that as soon as possible. When you come to that first consultation, the purpose of that is to build some trust with the mediator, make sure that you feel comfortable and that there's a good chemistry with the mediator. It's also an opportunity for the mediator to get to know you and take the temperature of the situation. I know that when you come, you're going to have two questions for me, and that is, how long will it take and how much will it cost to get the divorce finished? So naturally, I'm going to need to ask you some questions about your case. Everything we talk about in that session and all future sessions will be kept confidential. Nothing that we talk about could ever be admissible in court. None of my notes, there won't be any recordings available. Everything that is discussed is kept confidential, and none of the information gathered during the mediation process can be used in discovery if you end up having to go to court. Once again, back to the Utah state law on mediation. When you start the mediation process is going to have a major impact on its success. Many couples make the mistake of talking to an attorney first before they go to mediation. And the attorney sits them down and will take their retainer. The average retainer in Utah is about $4,000 each. Then the attorney will file some documents at the courthouse, and later the attorney will inform their client, we need to go to mediation. When I get a phone call from an attorney stating we need to go to mediation, it's only because they know that the judge is going to require that before there can be any kind of hearings or anything like that. So, or any decisions made on custody or separation of debts and assets or anything, the judge is going to require mediation. When the attorney calls me and schedules the mediation, it's a very different type of mediation than the type of mediation that I'm going to try to promote to you in the orientation. That type of mediation with attorneys is called a shuttle mediation. The attorneys direct that mediation. They ask that the mediator put each party with their attorneys in separate rooms, and the mediator shuttles back and forth. The mediator doesn't act as much as a problem solver as they are just a facilitator, and they facilitate the offers going back and forth. According to the Utah State Court website, that style of mediation in that environment has about a 54% success rate. Mainly because, one, it takes a long time. It's not a productive or efficient use of time. And you have to remember, attorneys make money when you are in disagreement. The more you disagree, the more money they make. Expecting an attorney to be actively engaged in getting you to an agreement is not a reasonable expectation. As long as you are able to write checks and they are able to keep you emotionally charged, then they will do that. I know that my attorney colleagues prefer that I not tell people that. Unfortunately, that's the reality of how the divorce legal system works. There is a great video, a documentary, that I encourage all couples to watch, especially if they are anticipating a very contentious mediation process. And that is a video called Divorce Corporation or Divorce Corp. You can find it on Netflix and Amazon and Google Play. Just do an internet search for it. It's a 60-minute style documentary that an individual goes in and does some undercover interviews, and you'll conclude at the end of watching that you don't want to involve the legal system in your divorce at all costs if possible. If you don't have a high conflict situation, I don't know that I would spend the time to watch that. I don't want it to cause any unnecessary anxiety. The type of mediation that we're going to promote, that we're going to discuss in that orientation, is the type where both of you will come together in the mediation room with myself or another mediator, roll up your sleeves, have a predetermined agenda put together, and in a 3 to 4 hour time period, try to get through every topic and an agreement on every topic before even any document is filed at the courts. If you feel strongly about having an attorney, the time to get one would be after the mediator and the couple has sat down, put a rough draft together, take that rough draft to an attorney if you still feel like you need to have an attorney review it. That's a $500 meeting instead of a $10,000 meeting. That process makes the divorce go much smoother, much faster, and much less expensive. At least a tenth of the cost of doing the traditional litigated type of divorce, and probably a tenth of the amount of time. Most of the time we are able to get a divorce completed from the first meeting that we have until a judge signs it. It's not uncommon to see those divorces signed within 30 days of that first meeting. There's so many advantages to going through the mediation process when you start the divorce with mediation. We get to bypass many of the typical cumbersome, time-slowing processes of the court. There will not need to be any documents filed or hearings for any financial declarations. We get to ask the courts to waive the 90-day waiting period. Our whole goal is to get the divorce done as quickly and as inexpensively, but ensuring the quality and fairness of the agreement. The mediator's role is, as we will discuss in that orientation, is to ensure there's a level playing field, to ensure that both parties feel that they have a voice in the process. The mediator will explain different tools and tactics and things that are available to you to be able to ensure that that's going to happen. When you come to that orientation, I'm also going to be watching you as close as you're going to be watching me. The things that I'm going to be watching for are how you treat each other, how you talk to each other. I'm going to be watching your body language and your nonverbal communication. And the reason I'm doing that is so I can assess the amount of emotional volatility that exists. Many people have a lot of anxiety because they worry that the divorce is going to cost too much money. And let's face it, this is not fun money to spend. However, there is going to be a cost involved, and it will be significantly less than if you go the litigation path. If I can, I try to introduce a possible idea with each of my clients, if I feel comfortable, where we can arrange to do a flat fee. We will discuss that in the mediation. The traditional method that people use to pay for legal services is the hourly fee with a retainer. So you would pay me a $1,500 retainer, and my hourly fee is $280 an hour, and I would work off of that retainer until it's depleted. That just causes you to stare at your watch and wonder if I'm dragging the process out. If I feel that there is not too much drama, that I can take the risk and come up with a flat fee that everybody feels is comfortable with, I will certainly do that. If you come to the orientation and there is a lot of drama and a lot of conflict, you will probably be successful at persuading me to not want to do a flat fee. However, I am going to be very thorough in my assessment because it's my preference. I believe the best agreements and the best chance of you getting to a good agreement if I can remove that anxiety of having to pay an hourly fee. If you come to the orientation, you may have a tendency to want to ask me questions about the specific legalities of your case. That's called a case evaluation. There will be a case evaluation, and that is where I will meet with each of you individually and discuss the overall trend of the courts on the various topics that you have concerns about. And that's just so that you will be able to make informed decisions. Again, the mediator's job is to educate you about your options. This first orientation will not be used to do that. This first consultation is once again just to inform you about the steps of mediation and give you an opportunity to build some rapport with the mediator. That case evaluation will come at a later time, and that will be after you have become our client. We will give you some homework assignments, and we will schedule that time when you come then. Hopefully this introductory video has been helpful for both of you. Right now you're both at a very likely at a very emotional place, and you're expected to make the most important decisions of your life, and you are probably emotionally at your worst. I understand that, and I'm going to do my very best to make sure you leave that orientation with less stress than you came with, and most of our clients would conclude that. I'm also going to include a link on this email to some of our client reviews. I think it's important that we are as transparent as we possibly can be and give you an opportunity to see what other people have felt about the process of mediation, felt about our firm, felt about our paralegals, felt about each of our individual mediators and myself. Please take the time to read those reviews. There are some people on there that have not been pleased. Most of the people on there, I think you'll find, felt that the process was well worth their money and time spent, that they were treated with dignity, and that they were able to get through this difficult time in a manner which was conducive, especially to them healing and moving on. And when there's children involved, this is probably the biggest reason why you will want to consider mediating and doing it this way. The husband and wife part of your relationship, maybe that's not going to work out. The mom and dad part of your relationship has to work out. That's what the mediator, and any good mediator, will do, is keep you focused on the children, focused on the need to give yourself a chance to both heal emotionally so that you can sit next to each other at soccer games and piano recitals and graduations and all those events that your children want you to be at, parent-teacher conferences, all of those things. Once again, hopefully this video has been informational. If you have any questions, please write them down when you come, and I'll do my very best to answer them as long as they're not part of the case evaluation part of this. Look forward to meeting you both in person. Says a lot about your character that you both are selecting mediation this early in the process. I think you're going to be happy with what we talk about. Thank you.